Paddy Ashdown, thank you very much for joining us today. Obviously your first time at the festival, what are your first impressions?
I love the place, it's fabulous. I remember seeing it from the top of the ridge up there many mornings when I've been driving across, and it's a very beautiful place. But I must say, coming over the hill there and seeing it lying down in the bowl below, and particularly the sort of Picasso yellow of the rape field, I think it was very stunning. It's a very stunning sight.
Yeah, and I'm going to try and ask all speakers this week. Obviously at the moment the new history curriculum sort of rejig is obviously very topical. And what would you do with the history curriculum? Do you think they're doing enough at the moment, or
do you know, I have a great belief in politics. If you don't know anything, you don't know the answer to a question, don't pretend you do. It's not an area that I've got very close to, I must confess. I do, however, take this view that those who forget history are condemned to repeat it at its worst elements. History has always fascinated me. It was one of the subjects I loved most at school, and I've loved ever since. I also think that it's a way of picking up vicarious wisdom, and lastly it's a way of discovering your identity. This great story of the Cockleshell heroes is about our finest hour. It's about what it's like to be British, and all of those things are very important, I think, in the modern age. So the study of history, not necessarily in a way that will produce rampant nationalism. I'm not in favour of that. Patriotism, yes. Nationalism, probably no. But I think it's extremely important.
And as you said, you've been talking about the Cockleshell heroes today. We've had queues going way out of the Waterstones tent as you've been signing books. What drew you to the Cockleshell heroes? Why?
I mean, I'm fascinated by those stories about cock-ups up top, which people pay for at the bottom, and this is one of those. But I'm also, of course, I mean, you know, it's a labour of love for me. I have a direct connection with it as an ex-Royal Marine. It's one of our finest moments, and above all, when I was commanding SBS, this was the founding event that founded the SBS and enabled me in some small way, nothing I did compared with what they did, but in some small way to read me into you know, what they were like, what they were doing.
And what was Blondie like as a leader?
Unusual, an eccentric, man much loved by his Marines because he always did the difficult things. He never asked them to do anything he wouldn't do himself. Not I think necessarily respected more than loved. Not a very warm man, but a wonderful, extraordinary determined leader who led rather more like Shackleton, I think, than Scott, who had a great love for his men and they knew it, and who was, they had an unbreakable will and determination, but above all an eccentric.
And someone you met, in fact.
Yeah, without knowing I met him.
And what would you say is the actual significance of this raid? I mean, immediately there wasn't much effect. But
no, there was very little. The Germans refloated the ships very quickly. It was never known about in Britain because it was a secret technique and used again since. But it did huge damage to German morale when they were at the top of their triumphalism. It caused them to deploy many more troops to guard their ports, which were therefore not on the French line, and it gave a huge boost to the French resistance in the area. So it was important.
And one last quick one. Obviously you're the chair of the Lib Dems for the general election 2015. In 2 years' time, where do you see the Lib Dems party?
I never predict elections.
No?
Never have, never will.
But you're confident?
Look, confident equals complacent. I think we've got a great story to tell. I love the party. I love it, the fact that it's put the national interest first and is prepared to take the responsibilities of government. That's the party I wanted to help create. And so we've done the right thing. I believe the British people will respond to that. And even if they don't, I still think it's the right thing for my country. And what am I in politics for but to do the right thing for my country rather than necessarily for my party?
Lord Ashdown, thanks very much for your time.
Great pleasure. Thanks so much.
Cheers.